It is true what they say. The letters recruit themselves. We got to talk about it after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time today. We need to talk about 6'2", 197-pound Miller Moss choosing to commit to the USC Trojans. This is huge for a number of reasons. One, Moss was thought to be between USC and Alabama, even thinking of heading to Alabama with Bryce Young being in front of him, and he even said as much. And yet, it was the appeal of what the Trojans mean to him and what USC football has meant historically. He mentioned Pete Carroll and Mark Sanchez in memory of what Trojan football once was as factoring in his decision, and that makes a lot of sense because he's from Mission Hills, California. Moss is also the second top 100 quarterback to join the Trojans 2021 class, which means he's going to go with Jake Garcia, which is enormous for Graham Harrell and Clay Helton, and that almost never happens, right? If anything, that gives a little bit more just fodder to the idea that maybe Caleb Williams is thinking about joining Garrett Nussmeier at LSU. I still would not bet on it, but there are some that would, and that vaults USC to number 4 in the 247 Sports Composite Team Rankings and the number 1 recruiting class in the Pac-12. This at a time when Mario Cristobal seemed to be putting a stranglehold on that conference and in that region when it comes to recruiting, particularly in the state of California. Now, with Jake Garcia and Miller Moss, you have 2 4-star players. You have number 33 player in the composite in Garcia, and you have the number 52 player in the composite in Moss. Both of these guys are the number 4 and number 5 prospects at their positions. And all of a sudden, USC is recruiting like Pete Carroll is still running the joint, when really it seems that both Todd Orlando and Graham Harrell are doing tremendous work on the recruiting front, along with a number of other assistants for which I expect this to be a make or break year for USC. As a matter of fact, uploaded video that's going to come out tomorrow getting at this point without this news of Moss in it. But more to the point here, getting these kids in the boat for USC at this time is crucial. Even more crucial, they got to play college football. Even more crucial than that, they got to have a good showing against Alabama. If they get run out on a rail, this class is not going to hold together. It'll fall apart. In the same way that the 2019 class kind of sort of did, and then Clay Helton was able to backdoor it with Brew McCoy and Chris Steele coming via transfers later. But even with JT Daniels leaving, you could see that a scholarship was available, and I think that is why Miller Moss ends up going to USC. Soon as JT Daniels is out the door on Friday, on Monday, we get a commitment video from a 4-star prospect at that position. Kids still want to go to USC to play football. That matters. And I didn't think that it mattered as much as some did because I'm not a USC homer, and I'm not saying you gotta be, but I do think that having the history that they have as being really the only blue chip program on the West Coast still matters to a tremendous amount of kids. I mean, they're pulled in with the allure of what that place stands for and what Fight On was. I contend that the Pac-12's relevancy is tied directly to USC. And this is why I've been saying it's a make or break year for the Pac-12, in that if USC or Oregon doesn't come out of the Pac-12 as the champ, and if you're looking at Arizona State or Washington or Utah as your Pac-12 champ, kiss it goodbye, because nobody cares about those programs nationally. We don't care about those programs west of Denver. Hell, we hardly care about the one in Boulder that is Colorado. In the college football landscape that is becoming more regional, we care intensely about the Southeastern Conference, right? We care intensely about Texas. We care intensely about Clemson, right? And parts of the ACC, which is really the South, right? South Carolina. Really, once you get past North Carolina, you fizzle out in a hurry, right? Maryland is trying to make a charge, and there's people that are trying to make Maryland into something like a juggernaut, even as Mike Locksley's program was trash last year. They're recruiting like all hell, right? Nobody expects much from Syracuse, and you got to go all the way up to Notre Dame and Indiana before you start to get a little bit of respect back, along with Ohio State and Wisconsin, and even Michigan to a degree, just not, outside of their area, and then Penn State. Minnesota's making a push at this thing, but I would tell you North Dakota State's a better football program than Minnesota. And you continue to go around, you want Nebraska to be good to hold up the middle of the country, but that's been Iowa for so long, right? And we don't expect much from Kansas. We don't expect much from Kansas State, even as they outperform expectations most of the time. And I go back to the Pac-12 and I look and I see Mario Cristobal and Nike, right? And that's what you've been able to recruit with, and great, because you won a Rose Bowl and a Pac-12 championship, and you're my pick to win the Pac-12 championship. But unless they make a playoff, kiss it goodbye. And with North Dakota State and Ohio State on the schedule in September, that's not necessarily a shoo-in. You can lose to Ohio State and still make the playoff, because Ohio State might go undefeated, and that would help your strength of schedule in the eyes of the committee. You can't lose to North Dakota State and make the playoff. I don't care how badly you win the Pac-12. As much as we love North Dakota State football, as much as we love Bison football, a loss to them only hurts you, right? Meanwhile, Millen Moss is in the boat. Jake Garcia is in the boat. But everybody knows that if you could poach one of those guys, you would, because you still get to use that negative recruiting angle of you really want to go in with a guy who is rated just as highly as you are in the same class, because you're just going to go into the portal. But Helton, Kirby Smart, others have said, Texas, Tom Herman, he's taken 2 in the same class. They've said repeatedly, look, we're going to take the best player that we can. And if that means that we have 2 quarterbacks, so be it. We'll let them duel it out. We'll let them find out which one of those guys is the better of the 2. Same thing with Jack Sears and Hank Bachmeier at Boise State. They're going to have a battle. While I think Bachmeier wins that, Sears is ready to go. And that's how you're seeing people recruit at a very high level right now. And I find that to be tremendously fascinating at this very important time in the college football landscape, where we're looking around trying to figure out where's this recruiting thing going with the name, image, and likeness bit. And guess what USC can sell that no other team in the Pac-12 can sell? Branding. They have the best branding that you could possibly get. Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre bought a building on USC's campus. The film school is renowned. It's Hollywood. It's glitz. It's glam. It's Reggie Bush. It's Matt Leinart. It's Carson Palmer. It's Dwayne Jarrett, right? It's Mike Williams. It's Lindell White. Even fat Lindell White. He can play. It's Ray Malaluga. It's Brian Cushing. My goodness. I forgot that linebacker core was so good. So at one point, we're talking about 3 all-boarded Pro Bowlers, right? And we all thought that Malaluga was going to be the best of them. Turns out to be Clay. Packers stand up. Anyway, I find it to be interesting that Moss chose it, but I also think that one of those guys goes on the portal. I think we already assume that. What I do think is going to be interesting is if USC loses 5-6 games, which one of these guys flips a commitment to elsewhere that really needs a quarterback in this 2021 class. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.